So we've been having this discussion lately on the channel about putting fluids on the lug nuts to stop them from seizing up. And I've been trying to educate you guys, letting you know that the manufacturer doesn't recommend that. It even says right on the bottle of anti-seize in the warning label not to put on lugs or lug studs. But what do people do? They try to justify it anyway, even though the people that make the product themselves are telling you not to use it. Why? For safety and liability reasons. But do you know how you stop those lug nuts from freezing up without having to do any of that? Proper tire rotations, proper maintenance. That's how. You know how often we get customers that come in and they're like, oh no, don't rotate my tires. It's been 5,000 miles, it's been 7,000 miles. It's time for rotation. No, no, don't worry about it. Just leave it alone. Um, it's kind of time. It's the maintenance interval for that. It's going to take, you know, 30 extra seconds to do it. Not really, but you get my point. I was just in the office the other day and I heard a customer say, well, how much extra is it? Well, it's 69.95 or something for an oil change, tire rotation. We inspect everything real good. No, I don't want to have to do that. Don't worry about it. Just do the $55 oil change. Okay, so we'll do just the oil change. So then we'll see you at 10,000 miles and then you'll decline the tire rotation then, and then maybe you'll do it at 15, 20,000 miles. This is the stuff that doesn't make sense to me, and then people wonder why their shit's broke, or it doesn't want to come off, or why stuff's swollen. It's because you're supposed to be doing proper maintenance. That's the whole point here, is to rotate those tires around, and then as you rotate those tires around, every 5,000, 7,500 miles, every 5,000 miles, um, you break that any kind of buildup free on those lugs, and you actually clean everything off by removing and putting the lug nuts back on. With proper maintenance, proper tire rotations, you don't ever have to worry about stuff seizing up per se. But what do people do? They take into they build up this persona of when they think stuff should be done, even though we're educating them, trying to say it's time for that. They don't want to do it. They don't want to pay the extra money. And then they run into situations down the road where they're paying 2 hours labor, $310, and then they're buying, $100 set of aftermarket studs or lugs for the truck, or they're gonna go back with OE at $70 a piece. So then you're talking $200 worth of material because you didn't want to pay the extra $15 for the tire rotations. If you'd have just taken care of it, it would have taken care of you, but instead your lack of maintenance is the exact reason why the corrosion and everything is building up on the face of the aluminum rims and where the lug nuts sit inside the rim and on the studs themselves. With proper maintenance, and you stop being a cheap ass and being lazy, this would have been prevented. So this is lesson learned. Anti-seize on the lugs is not the right idea. It's not a very bright idea, or any kind of fluid on the lugs. The only time you should be putting fluid on the lugs is on the heavy-duty trucks, or on the Super Duties. I'm talking like big semis and stuff like that, or on the Super Duty trucks. We take a drop of like 5W30 and put it on each one of the collars, the pivoting collars, to stop them from rusting up to each other, but it doesn't go on the threads inside the nut or on the lug stud at all. It only goes on the pivoting collar. On passenger vehicles like F-150s and below, you don't put anything on the lugs. Nothing. I don't care what your grandpa said or what you feel like you need to do, because every time you go to torque those wheels to 155 foot-pounds and you've got fluid on the threads, you're actually putting like 180, 190 foot-pounds of torque on those lugs, and you're stretching them. And at that point, they've basically lost their safety characteristic of holding that wheel together. So now they're in a stretched pattern. And if you ever had to to tighten those lug nuts again without fluid on there at 155 foot-pounds, it would never stay on there because you've stretched the studs. It's right on the label, right on the back of the anti-seize container. do not apply on lugs or lug studs. Y'all be blessed.